Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the partial solar eclipse we will be having in the sign of Scorpio on October 25th, 2022. In this video, I will be telling you about the intuitive messages I'm getting about this eclipse, and I will also be breaking down an astrology chart and talking about the other astrology aspecting this eclipse. I'm really excited to be talking about this content because I've been thinking about these eclipses for quite a while. Okay, so when I first looked at the year of 2022, I saw that we would be having really potent eclipses in the season of Scorpio in 2022. So it's been something that I have been in a way looking forward to, but also anticipating and concerned about, as the energy of an eclipse is a lot like the energy of Scorpio. It's very potent, transformative, changing energy. So the fact that this solar eclipse that we're having here on October 25th is in the sign of Scorpio, also conjunct Venus and of course Sun Moon conjunction to create an eclipse. We have a lot of debilitated energy coming in here. Of course, the moon is traditionally debilitated in Scorpio, and so is Venus. So we have a conjunction and an eclipse happening. So we have a lot of changes coming in, you all. We have a lot of toxicity coming up to the surface. We have a lot of pain points showing themselves to be resolved. We have a complete change in relationship for some people. Relationships really changing, fluctuating, and totally reasserting themselves in a new way. Territorial changes, all kinds of drastic, transformative catalyst energy coming in right now. So anyway, everyone, before I get too far ahead of myself, if you're new, be sure to hit the subscribe button below, turn on those bell notifications, and check out the description box if you want more information about this eclipse and about this channel. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this partial solar eclipse in Scorpio on October 25th. So first of all, check the description box to find out what time it's happening for you. This will, of course, depend on your time zone. But the area of visibility for this eclipse will be over the area mainly of Eastern Europe and then Western Asia, Western Russia area. So that's very interesting. All of Europe will be within the shadow, as well as parts of Eastern Africa, and then the entire Middle East as well as parts of Southern Asia, especially Western Asia. Okay, so it is hitting invisibility, that part of the globe. So we should probably definitely expect some type of perhaps closure or flashpoint, climax point in those types of areas. But yes, of course, for the entire globe, regardless of whether it's visible or not, there are going to be effects, and it's going to be something that is we're feeling globally. So let's talk about the more spiritual and energetic components of this eclipse in Scorpio. So first of all, eclipses in Scorpio are like no other because, as I was saying, the energy of an eclipse and Scorpio are very close. So the sign of Scorpio deals with transformation, transition, endings, beginnings, and also the things that trigger, cause, or escalate any type of transformation. So eclipses are also like that. Something comes in, something goes out. So we have a double dose of transformative energy coming in here. So, just primarily, that is going to mean that a lot of aspects of our lives that have been long-running status quo or have now become secured may be destabilized during this time, or maybe coming up for a big change or for a big shift. Also, areas that we once found comfort, or areas that we once thought would become kind of permanent comforts in our life, those things are liable to not evoke the same feelings of comfort. Long-running relationship dynamics can change here. Because we have the Sun, the Moon, and Venus together in Scorpio, you could really see toxic traits of other people very clearly. Okay, it will be very hard for people to resist to come to toxic terms. So people who might have once been able to fake a smile, or people who once had a mask of kindness, will not be able to maintain that anymore. And as we hit the time of October 25th, there's going to be a truth serum effect that comes through. People aren't going to be able to beat around the bush. People aren't going to be able to fake it anymore. So anything that has been faked in our lives, anything that has had a mask effect, anything that has been also giving us energy on account of it being faked or it being in some way illusory, I think will be really challenged here. And we have a great opportunity for honesty coming in with this transit. And we have a great period of time to tell the truth. Even though that truth can create sort of a snowball of a chaos, it will be less chaos than if we keep trying to maintain some type of false energy. So that's one thing that I was feeling intuitively as I was meditating about this transit is like maybe over the last year or so, people have been much more willing to create these false realities, or people have been much more willing to find comfort within something that's totally not real or totally not even in the scheme of truth. Okay. So I think that that is the reason why we find ourselves manifesting in this period of time where we are having these kinds of Scorpio eclipses. It suggests that there's been some sort of falsification, or there's been some type of too much comfort seeking within the unreal, or too much comfort seeking within an illusion, or within what we want to think, within what we want to feel like, within what we want to think things should be like. Okay. So we have this kind of subjunctive territory here where it's kind of like, I hope that this happens. I want this for myself. I dream of one day being this, and this sort of like future tripping mentality, or these subjunctive escapisms become a flashpoint for a greater collapse or building of a different type of lifestyle. So that's the main thing that I can offer about this solar eclipse in Scorpio, is it's going to ask us, why are we keeping it so distant from ourselves? Why are we keeping ourselves distant from our dreams? Why are we talking about what we want instead of moving towards that? Why are we suspending ourselves in a present situation that is not satisfactory, or that is not what we want, while, kind of illusion, in an illusory way, escaping into what could be? So there are a lot of things that automatically come up when I'm talking about that, like, well, maybe it's just reality. Maybe things take time. Maybe we can't control the fact that things aren't the way that we want them to be. But we have to really ask a new question about that here. And I feel that as we move past this eclipse, it's going to be very difficult to maintain these kinds of realities where it's like, I have accepted that what I want will not come, though I will still think about it, and I will kind of move towards it in my mind, though not move towards it in reality. This disconnect between the want of the interior versus the exterior truth is something that is coming up to be eclipsed here. So the sign of Scorpio is ruled by the 8th house in astrology, which traditionally the 8th house is the house of sex, death, and taxes. So that's a very easy way to sum that up. But we have the reproductive system ruled over by the 8th house, and also the creative capacity of human beings. So this can be, yes, of course, having children, or creating something as well. So creating a project, creating anything, creative power, creative capacity, the ability to breathe life into something, what we're choosing to breathe life in, what we're choosing to create, what we're fostering, what we're growing in our life, also with the Taurus opposition of North Node, and then the eventual eclipse there as well in November. What we're choosing to invest our valuable life force energy into will very likely change with this solar eclipse in Scorpio. So I'm feeling a lot of people with these like vitality grids, or these routines, regimes, or regiments of like how they invest their time, money, energy in their life. And I see either a fracturing or fragmentation of these grids, or an entire breaking, as these eclipses are, especially the second one, are in contact with the Saturn-Uranus square, which has graded, grinded, and damaged a lot of what we have relied upon to generate a certain result. So that infrastructure, that construct, that source of pain, that source of happiness, that we derive a certain momentum, fuel, or direction from, is something also that's coming up to be examined with this eclipse. And that probably will be for the rest of this year. Like, I'm talking even until like February or March of 2023, that these eclipses will queue up. Like, where am I getting my motivation from? What is my why factor? Why am I moving towards some of these goals? It's an important time to reassess goals here. Maybe not like right this second, but these eclipses are going to generate experiences that lead people to reassess their goals and lead people to reassess their linear direction. And the way that that direction, or the way that those goals, the way that these principles and ethics as well are affecting the body, the health, the creative capacity, okay? And then also the money aspect, because again, the 8th house is also specifically about other people's money. So when we think of the 8th house, when we think of the energy of Scorpio, we're very much looking at like loans, debt, also creative finance, like group financing or teamwork, corporatism, I don't know, but like anything that deals with multiple people coming together to create one result. This can even be out of the spectrum of money. So like charities or philanthropy or teamwork projects that create a goal or move towards a goal. Those could also be very volatile right now, as we have many individuals within one unit transforming and perhaps having these kind of like incompatible new versions of themselves coming through, which kind of splinters and in a way factionalizes certain group efforts. So we have to really look at that. Also, this can cause like splits in families or fragmentations in families, teams, groups, organizations can have new splitting points, but then also through these eclipses, and by the time we come through both of them and into December, I feel that there is also new unity and a new form of a possibility when it comes to unifying, or when it comes to, again, like a morale or sentiments that cause people to want to work together. So if you've been watching some of my videos recently, I've been talking about independence in 2022 and sort of the cult of independence, the want to be viable solely in one's own right. Interestingly, I'm finding this to be really good coming through these eclipses. Like, it's very comforting for people to have their own capacity, but then it's also like very limited as well, because the more you start to individually assert yourself, or the more that you grow in your own capacity, you start to see how reliant you become on other people. You start to see how reliant you become on like the service industry or banking or, the favor of other people, whatever it ends up being. It shows itself as kind of an illusion. And then it shows itself with an entirely new spectrum of maintenance that we didn't have before. So one of the most important things to be thinking about or journaling about through these eclipses is basically like, how do I relate to the important people in my life? Is there peace in those important relationships? If there isn't peace in those important relationships, is that due to my contributions, or is that on them, or is it like a combination? Because I do see some people having a lot of problems because they just won't move on from chaotic relationships, and they're like not the main contributor to it, but they just keep staying in it. That's a big problem with this transit, and vice versa. To be sort of the source of chaos, or to be the person who doesn't let people rest, or doesn't let people have their own sort of freedom or independence, is also going to be severe with this transit. I think it would be important to self-examine here about like, am I giving anybody a hard time? Am I being too strict? Am I being too severe? Am I being too, because again, Scorpio is the most severe sign in the zodiac. It's the most intense, most smoldering, most potent energy, the 8th house energy. And that potency, we need to look at how we're also maintaining our level of potency. So are we too active? Are we trying too hard? Are we making ourselves too much of a permanent fixture somewhere, to the degree where our potency or our intensity becomes lessened or becomes weakened because it's stretched out or over contributive? Okay, that's very important for this eclipse. We have to see where we're overextending and where we are with the Saturn-Uranus square. And this is going to be about the next eclipse especially. So between now and like a mid-November, we have a big question about do we have the right amount of ingredients, like the way that we're contributing, or the way that we are giving of ourselves to a cause or a job or a career or a family, whatever it is, a marriage. Is it too much? Is it too strong? All this Scorpio energy as we enter Scorpio season, with these eclipses, and the South Node in Scorpio, of course, with eclipses, and then the Saturn-Uranus squares, it's very, very like dense and potent and venomous in a way, poisonous for some people, but also just very sharp. And I do see on the positive side, let me tell you, because I've suddenly gotten a big download of positive things that are happening with this eclipse. People can totally transcend confusion through these eclipses, through the sharpening that happens and through the pinpointing energy of Scorpio, the X-ray vision of Scorpio energy. Things that we've been confused about, things we've been irresolute about, so things that we haven't had resolution on, things that we haven't been able to figure out, equations we haven't been able to solve. I predict that that's going to completely, for a lot of people, especially if this hits your chart, you're going to figure stuff out, or you're going to be able to solve something, or you're just going to come to a point where you refuse to exist in that level of confusion, or you remove yourself, or one removes themselves from a certain limbo or unresolvable quandary. So that's going to be nice to see. We've been having, since actually the end of 2019 and early 2020, we've been having this unresolvable quandary energy, where it's like there are just things that we just can't, like, it has no good answer. So I see some people just backing out of that or withdrawing, or finally solving it, either way. But I do think that beyond this time and beyond this year, it's going to be almost impossible to tolerate like these confused spaces, or also this generation of false realities. Like because of an inability to cope with a certain truth, we maybe live a lie. Okay, that's going to be very clear if it's happening here. And it's not going to be very kindly tolerated by other people. So if you constantly are going to a group of people trying to get people to kind of give you consensus about your own false reality, or that's not going to happen anymore here, I don't think. And I think that also you can see people getting very upset or angry about living in fantasy worlds, as we also have Jupiter moving back into Pisces. So there's a need to channel, certain energies. So if we're having a tendency to create false realities or fantasies, maybe we need to start writing the fantasy novel and channel it into something productive, If we're having a major ego crisis and we're wanting all this authority over other people, or we're wanting to prove like we're in charge or something, as would also be indicated by these Scorpio eclipses, there would be a need to look within and to actually exert authority and control over what you truly have control over, which is your body, your actions, and your involvements, what you're putting yourself in, where you're showing up, where you're becoming present at, instead of trying to, control other people or trying to control something you can't. So that which we can truly control, I think, may change with this eclipse. So yeah, control factors and control freak tendency is definitely something that could be coming up for a change here. And I also think that with the hyper energetic nature of Scorpio and all of this Scorpio energy coming up, there's a need to also look at what has been wasted energy on. Do you have a feeling of having wasted energy? Do you have a feeling of having tried too hard with something? What am I wasting my energy on? Where have I overspent my time, money, and energy? What has been more difficult than it had to be? We have to ask these kinds of questions now. And also there's a degree of like regressive transformation here, where you might be actually choosing to return to something, or choosing to transform in what might kind of be seen as like a regressive way, or a backward kind of transformation. But maybe it's a reclaiming of a positive aspect with this new knowledge that you have, and that actually helps you to move forward in the future in a better way. So with that regressive transformation, it's good to also be asking, what do I need to return for? And what unfinished business do I need to conclude? So those are good questions right now, as well as the unfinished business thing also should be starting to wrap up, or should be very quickly having a known conclusion upon these eclipses happening as well. But let me talk to you a little bit about the specific astrology that's happening around this. I'll put a chart up on the screen. Okay, so yes, the first thing that I'm noticing mainly about this eclipse chart is that we do have a Venus in exact conjunction with the eclipse. So Venus energy will also be really potent within the eclipse. It means that there's a change in a beauty standard. It means that there's a change in what we consider attractive. Maybe conventional beauty standards may really shift with this eclipse. Also, what we're okay with. Venus is what we enjoy. Venus is, aside from just beauty, it's what we find enjoyment in, what we want to do, what we take pleasure from. So there's a different kind of change there. What do I mean by this? It's like That which we once used to derive pleasure from now may not be attractive anymore. People may have a different love language. The dating culture could totally change with this transit, which would be certainly a welcome change. So there could also be a change in relationship status here for a lot of people, with an eclipse happening in Scorpio and a Venus eclipse also. So not only is the moon eclipsing the sun, Venus is also eclipsing the sun here, you could say. It means that relationship status could change. People could meet someone here, or there could be a splitting, or just a solid relationship could enter a new phase here. So marriage could happen for some people, or there could be engagement, or the dynamics of the relationship could really change. And you could apply it to relationship with self, of course. We might really start treating ourselves differently here. That which we have derived pleasure from personally, so things that we want in our daily life, foods that we enjoy, activities that we partake in that are enjoyable may change. So it might be really indicated to channel this energy by finding a new hobby, finding a new healthy source of joy in your life. Could be very important here. Pay very close attention to things that you enjoy in your life that aren't healthy. Poisonous joy, okay, venomous joy, toxic joy is important here. Enjoying bad things for other people, I would say, would be coming in here. Of course, we have Venus and the moon both debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. So the eclipse is very debilitated. And I think that for some people, there's like, there could be like a forced change, or there could be a loss of some type of control that enabled a certain negative or toxic trait to flourish, or enabled an addiction to flourish. So interventions with this transit. Also, even, I don't know, some type of forced change, or like rehab type of energy with a Sun, Venus, Moon eclipse, with the South Node also close. Some people can't go any further. We also have Jupiter quincunx, okay, in Aries. So that's going to take away the luck factor. So people can't just rely on their luck or rely on their momentum to prop up a certain toxic cycle. That is pretty much the only planet that is in a direct orb. We have everything else kind of functioning outside of it. So Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Uranus, Mars are all out of degree to this eclipse. So is Mercury. So that makes this a very dead ringer kind of eclipse. And it is a partial solar eclipse. So that in a way kind of mitigates it. So we have the rest of the outer planets continuing their own momentum and continuing kind of aside from this, but also in astrology, sometimes that can make it that much more intense. So it makes it its own kind of acting energy. So it's a very sharp energy, because it's not diverted by the energy of other planets. So this eclipse is like a needle. It's like, and then Scorpio is also like that, right? Traditionally ruled by Mars and modernly ruled by Pluto. So it's a very small, potent, sharp kind of energy. And that's intensified by the fact it's an eclipse, and intensified by the fact that none of the other planets other than Jupiter are in orb to it. And then even Jupiter is at a quincunx, which is a minor and it's a minor and chaotic angle. So yeah, we definitely see the things that have been going on in perpetuity, creating chaos over a long period of time, just ended, or just transformed here. So like things that just can't go on anymore, things that just can't keep up like this. Anything in your life that's stale, stagnant, ancient, not giving to your health or to your well-being will be very obvious with this transit, and may not be able to stand up under the weight of this transit. Also, things that are falsely propped up, or things that are inflated, things that are not naturally viable, would be highly threatened by this transit. Also, there's a high likelihood of a major kind of, what do I want to say? Like an unexpected intervention, or unexpected, sharp, and small, powerful imposition into a larger scheme, or into a larger issue. So that may mean that the person you didn't expect to intervene, or the choice you didn't expect to be made could come in very fast and shift things up. So we have like these things that we're focused on, and then we have, it's kind of like snake charming, this energy. So you have like some type of thing going on that charms the snake. Meanwhile, outside of that focus, something else is going on. So it's kind of like sleight of hand. It's kind of like snake charming here, this particular astrology. So we have to make sure that we're not charmed here. Try to get out of these false realities, these false kind of just charmed realities or unreal. That's what I keep coming back to with this. Also with Jupiter being right on the cusp of Aries and Pisces. Jupiter about to go back into Pisces, approaching Neptune. There is a lot of idealism and a lot of perhaps dogma even as well. And we have to really watch out for that here, because that could be like the charming aspect, or that could be the thing that creates a new type of vulnerability or has our back turned on that which we really need to be facing. So think about what you have your back turned to right now. And then also think about what you are facing and what you're looking at, and try to have more of a totalistic viewpoint, or make sure that you're not having too many blind sides in your life right now, because that could be a big problem. But ultimately, this is, I think, going to be an important period of realization for a lot of people, and especially with this next eclipse, as the next eclipse is much more connected to the outer planet transits going on right now. So this first eclipse on October 25th, while life-changing for a lot of people, and more so kind of, I think, symbolic or signaling the change that has already occurred over the last few years of momentum, it will enter us into the true understanding of change, or the true signal that a change has occurred. And then this next eclipse in mid-November is going to be more of a macro kind of collective, or just true change energy. So anyway, everyone, nonetheless, there can still be a lot of change happening here, and a lot of sharpness and breaking down of illusions, breaking down of lies or falsities definitely come into possibility here. And also the ability to pop our own bubble. Okay, so to really get real about where we're at, and to stop getting out of sorts about things that we can't control, to reassess control, and to reassess also what we're building up in our own world. So anyway, everyone, I'm going to conclude on that note. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was in a very important transit to talk about. I hope you'll comment below and let me know what you think about the transit, and what you think about these other astrology transits happening at the same time. Like this video if you get the chance, so that it will get out there, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and check the description box. I'm on Patreon and other social media, so there's a lot of information below. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a wonderful transit. Much love, and I will be making a November comprehensive astrology video as well as an eclipse video for the next one. So yes, be sure to be subscribed, and check back to the channel for those awesome videos coming on. Much love, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.